Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. The Lodge and Tavern are now open 7 days a week. I'm not sure if the spots running today reflect that. If not, that is on me. That is my fault. But you can believe the ticker at the bottom of the screen. You can believe me when I say they are open for dining right along the beautiful rapids of the Chiowa River. It's fantastic. The outdoor dining is just great. They are open for reservations right now. Monday through Friday, Topoco.com to learn more. Follow them on, get to their Facebook page, and you'll see all kinds of photos and videos. Beautiful place. Spring has sprung. Spring it at the Topoco Lodge. All right. Most projections, as we have discussed, have shown Tennessee as a 5 or a 6 seed. There's still a couple of 4s out there. There's even a 3 I saw last night. There was a 7 until yesterday. You never know with the NCAA selection committee. But 5 or 6 is probably what most people are seeing. What do you guys see for this team? What seed do you think they get, Jerron?
I think they might keep us at a 5 seed, depending on whether new news comes out about Fulkerson or not. And I think that's going to be the big predictor on whether we stay or move up or we move down.
You think it's a 5? What are you doing, Jimmy?
I do. I think it's a 5, and I think the net of 13 that you pointed out earlier, I think that is going to weigh. It's not the measuring stick. It is a measuring stick, but I do think what Tennessee did and beating Florida 2 in a row, playing Alabama that well, getting a 13 net, I think I'd put them at a 5.
Yeah, they went from a 14 to a 13 by losing to Alabama. Yeah. So part of it, and also you look at the net rating is what used to be known as the RPI. It's a new formula that the NCAA uses, and they actually put it on their website. And they also break down the wins by quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, which is based on the opponent's record and that kind of thing. Tennessee's record in quad 1, they're 6-5, I think. There are only about 4 teams in the country that are clearly better than that. Most teams are right around 500 or way below. So if you're thinking Tennessee was kind of so-so down the stretch, which I thought that too, they were, most teams were. When you look at the quad 1 stuff, most teams were right there where Tennessee was, which is a good sign for Tennessee that you're up there in the top 20 or so, and that's one of the reasons that your net ranking is 13th.
Did you see Tennessee's RPI, real-time RPI?
No, I did not.
It's about 55.
Really? That's the difference between...
I think this is a good thing they put the net in.
That's right. That's a good thing. The NCAA got rid of RPI and went to the net rating instead. In terms of what seed they get, here's why it matters. Let's take a look at this graphic. This is since the NCAA field expanded to 64 teams, which I think was, 83? 84? Now it's 68, but since you've had 16 teams in a region, this is the way it's gone. You see that 1 versus 16, you only had the one upset that's ever happened there. But you look at the winning percentages and how they drop, but the biggest drop, the 13% drop, an unusually large drop, is from 4 to 5. Yeah. So if you get a 5 seed, the danger is that's the one where everybody goes through and picks the 12s. I mean, you see more upsets 5 versus 12 than you do anywhere else. And then the 6 versus 11 game is a 63% winner if you're a 6, and then on down the stretch. We don't know about the seed. We don't know the foes. We don't know Fulkerson's status. So naturally, I'm going to ask you the question, what's a realistic expectation for this team? What do you think fans should be saying, okay, if you do this, I'm happy? Where are you going, Jimmy?
I'm going Sweet 16. And as you mentioned, you don't know about Fulkerson, you don't know about your matchups, but I do think Sweet 16, I think this team's good enough to do it. They played well enough the last 3 games to do it. I actually think the break they had by not having a midweek game before the last regular season game and then the double bye, I think it served this team well. I think they're well rested physically and mentally. I'd say Sweet 16.
To kind of piggyback off of what Jimmy was saying, I say Sweet 16 as well. But that's only because of all the variables that you put in there, focus and status and everything else. And so that plays a huge role into it. Let's say we get some good news moving forward, and I wouldn't put a cap on this team because I believe this team, like I mentioned the week prior, has the pedigree to get the job done. And so if we continue to be more intentional and lean on the guys who we saw coming down the stretch in the Florida game, closing it out, and in the Alabama game, we saw some good positive things there. We can lean on more of that, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, to me, this team has the capability and the roster, depending on the Fulkerson situation. But if Fulkerson plays, you get the roster to make a Final Four run. My problem with that is you've never made a Final Four, so it's hard for me to say that's a realistic run. Mm-hmm. Rick Barnes he's made 1 Final Four in a 30-something year career, and he's had a lot of top teams. So he's not proven that he is that type of coach on the national stage that typically gets to a Final Four. So I think that, and if you go back to what we were saying back in December and January, all the talk of Final Four was here in East Tennessee. Nationally, no one was talking about Tennessee as really a Final Four contender. The view was, win the SEC, be a top 3 or 4 seed in the tournament, which if you get a 5, you're right there, and make the Sweet 16. I'm kind of there. I think an expectation that's realistic and fair is Sweet 16. If they don't have Fulkerson, it'll be interesting to see if they even go that far. All right, Jerron Mayman, thank you very much. Always appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to go coach with my cousin today, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell Andy I said hello. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little football. More bad news. Hope you enjoyed the basketball talk, because now we're getting football, and that's more bad news for the Vols. We'll discuss what that is next on the Sports Source.